Joining me now for today's edition of In Conversation with is Rowanna Chown. How are you, Rowanna?
Hi, how are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I know that you're super busy with all your learning and stuff at home and all that studying and stuff. And so thank you very much for being in touch.
Absolutely
Now,
no
we
problem.
stumbled across each other. I played some of your music on my Backstage Pass show.
You did, yes. You
And
played
that's how
a
kind of
primary
how we
answer.
kind of got together.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to our chat. I just thought it'd be really interesting to start off with where it started for you. You know, how old were you when you started thinking about music and writing and stuff?
Okay. I always tell the story of like my first, well, really the start of my musical career. I was 6 years old and sort of like a performing monkey. I was sort of like pushed everywhere. And it's two songs that I've always had to sing everywhere. So I'm like at the charity shows, at the country clubs. And it was Like a Prayer by Madonna. And
Okay.
then straight after that, Babushka, the Kate
Oh,
Bush.
blimey.
And so, you know, I think that's really shaped me as an artist because loads of people say, oh, you're so Kate Bush meets Madonna. And I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. But that's a great combination to have, though.
Yeah.
Two massive female
Well,
icons. I
icons,
love that.
icons.
So you've been obviously performing for a while. What about learning? Like you play keys, don't you? Play piano.
Yeah, I play the
How long have you
piano.
been doing that?
I started doing that when I was 5 actually, but for a long time I did keep sort of like the piano and the singing separate while
Yeah.
I was, you know, first of all when you start piano it's all about grades and follow the classical route. But I actually had a really fantastic piano teacher who didn't force me to do
Oh
grades,
wow.
didn't force me to do classical music. She's like, whatever you want to play, you bring it in and you can play it. So you know, at some point it was a bit after the My Chemical Romance era, but I'm like, oh, I found this My Chemical Romance song and I really want to play it.
Yeah.
And then I started singing it as well.
Yeah.
And
Brilliant.
so that's how it sort of like came together.
Because
Yeah.
it's very hard. You know, I've spoken to musicians before to actually play a musical instrument and sing at the same time, because obviously your brain is obviously doing two different things. You've got to remember two lots of stuff. So it must be quite difficult to get that right.
Well, I sort of got into the swing of it now, and now I love it. I can't really remember at the start. It must have been, you know, fairly tricky.
Yeah.
Learn the song perfect on the piano and then add the voice. You know?
Yeah. Excellent. So where do you get your inspiration from when you're writing? What kind of stuff do you draw from?
I really draw from things in my own life sometimes, but sometimes I like to sort of like explore religious iconography. I'm not so much religious myself anymore, although I was raised Catholic, but I find the imagery incredibly inspiring. And just pop culture, art in general. I really find historical female figures, so female icons are one of my biggest inspirations. So I do like to name check female icons in my songs.
And that's an amazing thing. I think it's quite a powerful thing for us females in the music industry, being able to draw on the icons that have maybe paved the way for us to be where we are now.
As you know, in such a male-dominated society, I just love the idea of powerful women. You know, even if they're using their sexuality for power, it's
it's up to them, isn't it? It's up to them what they do.
Yeah.
So I think obviously one of your new singles you've got coming out called Hound kind of relates to this slightly. It's about sexual assault and that kind of stuff. So that's something that's very prevalent at the moment.
Yeah. So in Hound, I'm using the analogy of a fox hunted by a hound.
Yeah.
It is about something that happened to me, you know, on a night out. I was assaulted, and it was my way of getting that emotion out. But actually, I've been sitting on this song for over a year now, and I haven't been comfortable enough to release it. But I'm finally at that point where I think it's, you know, I can bare my soul to everyone that wants to listen.
And I think that's really important as well, for females for sure, to be open and honest about things that we've been through and incorporate that into our work. I've been the same. I've been in a similar position to you, but it actually made me stronger. And I think probably for you as an artist, being able to write about it's probably been quite cathartic, and to get it down on paper and then get it out, and obviously inspiring other women to do the same.
Yeah, it was definitely a turning point for me, because up until I wrote the song, I'd swept it all under the rug, and I wasn't healing. And as soon as I wrote the song, it something clicked for me, and it was empowering for me.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you're going to release it at this time when things are so tricky out there for us, for safety wise, for us women, and obviously everything that's happening in the press, it's a really good opportunity for you to reach out to people.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to speak up and just, let society know how prevalent this is, that how many women this has happened to. I think you ask almost any woman, and almost 100% have been harassed at some point, been assaulted at some point. It's it's actually out of control.
Exactly. We all deserve to be safe on the streets. We all deserve to be able to be respected. But obviously, we know that how the percentages go. It is higher for us women. But we all deserve to be happy and comfortable and respected and safe. So it's amazing that you're doing that. So what's your plans coming out of lockdown? Obviously, we've been in lockdown. How's it been for you?
Well, the pandemic overall has been earth-shattering, really. I think my last gig I did was it was in the pandemic. It was like September time. Yeah. But the vibe is just completely different. It was sort of no. And then I haven't done a gig since then, because actually I didn't really feel safe in that gig environment. Pandemic still around. I have done a few online live stream things. One I did from Cargo Room's studio, and that was really fun, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. But it's just the emotion that feeding off the audience it's just not there.
It's a totally different vibe, isn't it? And a lot of musicians have said the same, and some of them haven't done it for that reason. They said, no, we're not going to do it. We feed off the audience. We need that interaction to kind of get us in the zone. So I completely understand that decision, not to do too many. So have you got any gigs planned coming out? Have you started booking stuff?
Well, not yet, because I actually am not quite sure when we're going to come out of this, and I'm not even sure where I'm going to be, because at the moment I'm in Kent, but when uni starts up, I'll be in Norwich, and I'll book gigs based on that.
Completely understandable. And like you said, we don't really know what's going to happen, and we have got this kind of plan out there that's kind of gearing us into it, but we don't know whether that's going to be exactly what happens. So and especially if you're going to be moving for uni, then it makes sense to hold off until you can actually do that. So how do you find places that I have how do you find juggling uni stuff and music? Do you kind of incorporate the two, or?
Well, I really do use music to wind down from the uni stuff, but sometimes I do feel a bit sandwiched between the two, because I'll book so and so many gigs, but then I might have this coursework, and I've maybe got 12 hours of work on one day. But, no, it's just about sort of finding that balance. And I do have a set time aside to chill out from both of them as well.
Good. Because it can get a bit overwhelming. I'm busy like you. I've got so many plates juggling, it's ridiculous. But it's really important that you take that downtime. So when you write, do you go to a recording studio? How does it work for you? How does your process go for you to release a song?
Well, I always, I'm a pianist. I write all my songs on the piano. So all of my songs can be played acoustically on the piano, because that's how they were written. But then I'll go to a local producer who's a good friend of mine, and we'll sort of work through it together. I'll sit there like through the production, like, right, we want this sound, put that in. He's amazingly talented. I can't cope with these computer programs like Logic, and that I've got a mini recording studio here. It's analog. I can just about do that.
Yeah.
Computer programs, I'm out.
It's so good that you've got someone that you can go to and get all that stuff done. And releasing music, obviously things are so different now from when I was probably your age. You know, we've got the internet, we've got streaming, we've got all kinds of stuff. What's your plans moving forward? Are you going to be putting out albums? You know, what's your dream? Where do you see yourself going?
Well, I'd love to put out an album, and I do actually have enough songs. I'm just sort of waiting for the right time and sort of the right imagery, the right title, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and I don't like putting anything out unless it's
There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely perfect for me.
Yeah.
So I do have a few titles possibly running through, but nothing set in stone yet for that.
So what's the dream? What's the dream?
The dream, I just want to be able to make this a career.
Yeah.
Make enough money off this so I don't have to go to medical school anymore.
Yeah. No, exactly that. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll do this again as soon as you've got some new stuff out. When Hound's due to come out, let me know and we'll do another catch up.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much for joining me, Rowanna.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.